All right, my name is Laura, and I'm here to talk to you about DevOps and system science. Everybody talks about DevOps transformations and affecting change and all the changes they want to make. But people don't talk about day 2. What happens? How do you make these changes stick in your organization? I contend the best indicator of success is the equilibrium states of all of the subsystems in your organization. I already see eyes glazing. It is right after lunch, so let's talk some physics. We have a hill, 2 tall points, 2 low points. These are called equilibrium points. Points where something might be in balance, let's say a ball, and there's no energy going in and out of the system. If we have unstable points up here at the top points of the hill where we have a ball sitting there, that ball may appear to be in balance, but any small change, any small bit of energy will cause it to roll downhill. And it takes a lot more energy to go back up. On the other hand, we have stable equilibrium points. At these points, if you add a little bit of energy, it's going to roll right back to the same place. And it takes a lot more energy to get it to leave that point. Great! What does this have to do with DevOps? Well, every organization is made up of multiple subsystems, typically people, infrastructure, and software. When you want to actually make a change stick, you have to ensure that all of these subsystems are in stable equilibrium states. I'm going to use 2 case studies to illustrate my point. The first one is the classic, Target. Big company, did a major DevOps transformation way back when. The other one is going to be an unnamed startup because I don't want to embarrass anyone. First up, let's talk about the people system at Target. Everyone was involved in making this transformation. This was a grassroots effort, and every leadership person involved was interested as well. So you could change people out, and it didn't matter. At your unnamed startup, the VP was the one pushing all of the changes through. In that case, unfortunately, when they got bored and looked at something else, it returned back to the way it was. This is what we call a red flag. One person doing all of the glue work, one person pushing the change through. If you want to actually have a transformation stick, everyone has to be on board. Now, let's take a look at infrastructure, and we're going to go back to Target. Target was a stable system because they were used to this on-prem environment where you could change out the hardware, but they're constantly doing work with compute. They understood the general concept behind compute, the general concept behind networking. It didn't matter what hardware they were using. On the other hand, if we take a look at said unnamed startup who happened to be using a hyperscaler, and I'm going to pick on AWS because, they're big. They worked in AWS. They were very used to AWS. When they went to have to move to GovCloud, though, it didn't quite work because, red flag again, they didn't quite understand the general concept of the infrastructure they were using. They were just used to whatever they had working with AWS. Now, finally, let's talk about software. With Target, they had standards, standardized tooling, software pieces that they were used to using to build everything from their legacy systems all the way out to greenfield. If you take a look at our unnamed startup, unfortunately, how many people here have ever been at a startup that loves to chase shiny new things? Yes, that's exactly what we're talking about. Every new project was a chance to try a new thing. There was just constant change, constant refactoring. So everything was unstable. This is another red flag. There were too many shiny new tools to choose from, and so no one could actually tell when they went to build something new what they should standardize on. Now, you may be taking a look at this and going, hey, how can I use these 2 case studies to identify stable equilibrium in my company? It's a bit of a chaos thought experiment. Think about if you change one thing, change a person in your organization, change the infrastructure, change the software. Will your transformation stick? That's how you identify a stable equilibrium state. You might ask, how do I minimize all of these perturbations, these small things that can cause change? Well, if you're in a stable state, it doesn't matter. Those things won't matter. You'll roll back downhill to that state that you intended to get to. Finally, what about SRE? What about platform engineering? They're just additional transformations looking at different subsystems, so they run into the same thing. In the end, the real goal is to find the equilibrium states in your organization. So go out, find those, and I hope this sparks some conversation. Thanks.